friends. We had some trouble in that live session today when we were trying to go through the process of accessing and completing the Atlas goal setting document. So I'm going to recap some of what we talked about, and then I'm going to step you through those instructions. So if you attended that live session, you might go ahead and just kind of fast forward through this beginning bit because you already heard us talk about it. But if you missed the session from this morning, please make sure that you do watch this bit of the video, because this is going to kind of set you up for understanding why you're doing the task that you're doing. So you can see on your screen our learning intentions and our success criteria. I'm going to let you read that learning intention, and I'm going to focus over here on the success criteria. So I understand the importance of doing my best work on progress monitoring activities. I can identify my Atlas summative score from last year and my most recent interim score from this year, and I can compare my scores to determine areas of growth and areas for improvement. I just want you to know where you're at, where you're standing, what you need to focus on, and to do that, you need to know what your Atlas scores were. But why? Why do we care? Why is that important? It's important for a couple different reasons. First of all, what is progress monitoring? Well, it's a way to check your skill development over time. It shows what you already know and what you are still learning. Why do we progress monitor? So that we can see how much you've grown, so that we can identify what supports you need, so that you can take ownership of your learning and set goals and know what to focus on. It's so much easier to be successful at something if we know what we're working towards. What does successful look like when progress monitoring? It looks like trying your best on every question, staying focused and taking your time while testing. Your scores show what you truly know. That means you did your best. You're not just guessing, you're not fast forwarding through, you're not getting help to answer questions. They show what you truly know, and you use your results to set goals and grow. That last statement, that's what we're developing this plan for, is so that we're using those results to set goals, because your teachers used them to set goals for you, to set up your lessons, to determine what types of supports you need. But we're going to focus individually on what kind of goals we can set for ourselves, which means, I'm going to pop over to the right, that we have to have a growth mindset. A growth mindset means we do our best, that we use that data to help us grow, that we show what you know and learn from the rest. We don't stress, we just show what we know and we learn from the rest, and that we understand our effort matters more than our score, and that our scores help us grow. They are not a label. So our scores are just showing us where we're at when we take that progress monitoring, and our goal is always growth. Some tips for doing your best when progress monitoring: good sleep and good food. If you've ever tried to take a test and you're tired or you're hungry, that's all you can think about. So making sure that you show up to your testing session well rested and not hungry. Whether that means you just ate, or maybe you grabbed a snack while you wait for lunch or breakfast or dinner. Showing up well rested and well fed. Read everything on your test. Read the question, read the answer options, read any provided material, like if it's a passage or like an example, like a graph or a chart. Read everything. Make sure that you're answering the question being asked, and not what you just assume the question is based off the answer options. Don't rush. The test is not timed. Take as much time as you need, but don't feel like you need to sit there and stress and panic when you don't know the answer. We're going to do our best. We're going to keep on going, but we're definitely not rushing. We're reading everything, making a best guess before we go on. Use those tests and strategies that you've been practicing, and remember, growth is better than perfection. Whenever you take one of the Atlas tests, whether it's the interim or the summative, your goal is always to show that you have learned and show that you have grown. Growth is better than perfection. There were a couple things that we checked in the live session. This is on your screen. You won't be able to use the QR codes in my video that I'm making right now. But make sure that you have that secure test app downloaded. When you show up to your test session next week, whoever you're testing with, whether it's me or Miss Martin or Miss Poole, is going to expect that that's already installed and you are ready to go. If this is not installed when you show up to that testing session, that's an engagement concern. So if you need help with this, you need to reach out now. We will help you. We'll get you that support, but we got to know if you need help. Next thing, this was just checking in how we felt about this. So that success criteria was, I understand the importance of doing the progress monitoring test. Had to do with what we talked about over here, and we ranked ourselves there. You don't need to do that for the video because, again, the QR codes aren't going to work. All right, so here's the instructions for completing the task. So the links are all in the email. None of these hyperlinks are going to work on your screen, but the links are in your email. Your Family Access Portal code is in your email, and your ClassKick information is also in the email to the best of my ability to give it to you. If you had any issues logging into ClassKick, so your username and password is not letting you log in, the first thing I want you to try is your email address as your username. Let me just get rid of this. I'm going to just type this right here. The first thing you're going to try is your @arva.org. Email as your username. If that doesn't work, try your first name followed by the last 4 of your student ID number. So for me, my name's Vivian Hawkins, and if my student ID number was 1234567, then my username would be Vivian 4567. So try that. If neither one of those are letting you get logged in, we're going to have to request that it get reset. I can't do it, and that's what this form is for. So please confirm that you've got your ClassKick on this form. Whether or not you do or not, you're still going to fill it out. It'll take you 1 minute. Your student ID number, what's your ClassKick username, and then yes or no, you need it reset. So this is how you're responding to this email and letting me know that you got this email and that you got your instructions, is by submitting this form. So if you have it and you're logged into ClassKick and you're all good to go, you just click no. But if you need your username or password reset, click yes, and I'll get that information off to who it needs to be to get that reset for you. So let's pop back over here, and I'm going to go through the steps of completing the Atlas goal document with you. My screen is split right now because I have the Atlas portal on the right and I have my ClassKick on the left. We're going to focus on my ClassKick for a second. To get logged into ClassKick, you are going to go to classkick.com like this. So you're going to go to classkick.com. You're going to click login. You're going to hit student. You are not putting anything here. It's always better to log in first because then you won't accidentally start working as a guest user. Guest users don't get credit because I don't know who that was. So make sure that you are clicking login again. Log in with your user information. And again, email address might be your username. Your username might be your first name and the last 4 of your student ID number. So try both of those. And unless you changed your password is your student ID number. But if you've changed it and you don't remember it, submit that form so that I can request it be reset for you. This is just an example student account. This isn't like a real one, so I'm just in a fake student account. Once you're logged in, you're going to go in to access your assignment. At the top right hand corner where it says class code, you're going to put the class code in that box. Doing it this way, make sure you got logged in correctly. And that's why we skipped it to begin with. And here is that code, and it's also in the email. So there's the code. Oops, it went away too fast for you to see it. I'll put it in this box for a second. So there it is. This is the class kick code to get to this assignment. It's automatically going to link you in to our homeroom class kick. So this will stay on your home page. So if you go to home, you'll have a folder now with my homeroom. So it'll have my name on it. So it's with our homeroom here, and anything that you get from me in class kick, it's just going to save here. So you don't have to worry about losing your work because it's going to save right here. All right, pause the video if you need to get logged in, but I'm going to keep on going. So the first thing you're going to do on page 1 is put in your student ID number. So if that's mine, that's what I would put in there. Do not put this in there. That is not anybody's student ID number. It's just a fake one. But all you're going to do is type your student ID number in there. Reminders for earning credit. You got to make sure you're logged in, not as a guest, and that student ID number you're putting in this box is correct. This is just a screenshot of the what is progress monitoring that we looked at together a second ago. So that is what this is. And I'm going to go on to slide 2. Slide 2 is talking about achievement levels. These come from the state. Your schools don't make these. Your standards, like the content that you get taught in your courses, that's set by the state, and so is the achievement levels. So that's where these come from. So if you've ever heard or talked to your teachers about your scores and they talk about level 4, 3, 2, and 1, this is what they're talking about. A level 4 is an advanced understanding of the content. Level 3 is a proficient understanding of the content. We want to be here to show that we're on grade level. If we are level 2 or level 1, it means we need some extra support. There's nothing wrong with that, but it does tell us, hey, we have something to focus on, because we either have a basic understanding or a limited understanding in that content. So we know that we've got something that we need to do to grow. For some of us, that might mean taking more time on the test. For some of us, it might mean focusing on some foundational skills. But this level 1 and level 2 students in Flex are required to tier 2 support, and you're going to get that tier 2 support from K-12 tutoring. After we take interims next week, so in February, when we take those interim tests, any student in a level 1 or a level 2 on the Atlas interim test for any of those subjects, so math, science, reading, or writing, will be in K-12 tutoring to get that extra support so we can help you set those goals and grow. I'm going to scroll down just briefly just to look at this. This is those scores, these levels broke down by the score. And I'll show you what we're going to do with this in just a second, but I've circled where 8th grade is. So you can see that the scores started at about 1,000, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they show growth throughout level 1, 2, 3, and 4 for each school year. I'll show you what we're going to do with these in just a second. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top. These links up here will take you to where this information came from the state if you want to go look at that. But I'm going to go ahead and go to slide 3. This is where you're going to grab your information so that you can document it so that we can do something with it. So this is where we're going to write down our scores. There's another video up here showing step by step how to do that. So if you watch this one and you're like, hey, not my vibe, I need this in a different way, you might go watch that video. But the instructions I'm going to give right now are the same instructions. So if you watch this one and you get it, you don't need this video. So I'm going to split my screen. There we go. So I split my screen because I have ClassKick on the left, and now I need to get logged into the Atlas portal on the right. Alrighty, friends. So I had a student volunteer who let me use their like information so I can walk you step by step through it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log in as an actual student viewer and we'll follow the instructions and I'll show you exactly how to get the information that you need. So I'm at the atlasportal.org and I've clicked on the Student and Families tab and I'm going to scroll down to the section for Family Portal. The access code is what I sent to you in your email. You're going to put that in this box. Your date of birth goes in this box. And then your legal first name goes here. So whatever name you're registered for school under, not necessarily what you go by. So if you go by a nickname or a middle name, make sure you're going and putting your legal first name in this box. All right. All right. Video might seem a little choppy, but I realized when I logged in as her that her login information showed up here. So I paused the video, cut that out, and I've taken a screenshot of it. So you're still seeing the same things, but it's not in the web browser. This is what it's going to look like when you log in. In the ClassKick, which is on my left side, if you scroll to the bottom, it explains what the different information is and where you're looking. So if you want like that visual, that's at the bottom. But what we're doing is we're going to look here, and you can see this is, it defaults to the 25-26 school year. That's this school year. So the only thing you see when you first log in, if you don't touch anything else, is going to be your fall Atlas interim scores from this school year. And we need those. So we're going to start here. You'll know you're looking at the same thing that I'm looking at if it says 2025-2026 school year in this spot at the top. If it doesn't, click right here and choose 25-26. And then make sure that this is not toggled on. I don't think it's going to matter right now, but if you want to look at this the same way I'm looking at it, you might go ahead and make sure that that's toggled off like mine is. That being said, looking at my ClassKick, 8th grade interim 1 is on the right hand side. So these right here are what we're filling out with the information we have open. This is the Atlas Interim Fall 2025. That was Atlas Interim number 1 for 8th grade. So you're going to look, this first section is English. Here's English. And you're going to get the scale score, which is this big old number. And you're going to type that in this box. You're going to get the level by looking at this graph, finding where your child score is, because this was made for your grown-ups to view as well, so that's why it says your child score instead of your score. You're going to find that marker on the graph, and then you're going to see where you fall. So for example, this falls in this dark green box, and you can see that's the 1060 box, and it's level 3. So you're just going to put whatever level number that is in the box. The second one is all about math, so you're going to do the same thing, but with your math scores. So this example. And then the last one is about science, so you're going to do the same thing with those science scores. After you've got the interim scores, you're going to need to get the summative scores. If you don't have this filled out already, pause the video and come back when you're ready to get the summative scores. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that now. So to get to your summative scores, you're going to click up here in this box, and you're going to change it from 25-26 school year to 24-25 school year. And then you're going to... Oh, let me pause. There we go. So you're going to change that to 24-25, and then you're going to see the Atlas summative for the 24-25 school year. So this is last school year, and these are last school year's summative tests, so this end of year test scores. And that's what we're going to put on the left side of our ClassKick where it says 7th grade summative. We're going to fill these boxes in. So I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did with the interim. I'm going to look at 7th grade summative for English, which is right here, and I'm going to fill that out. 7th grade summative for math, and 7th grade summative for science. All right, that is all we needed to get out of the Atlas portal. So I'm going to go ahead and just make this screen nice and big, because this is what we're going to focus on to finish this task. If you need to pause to finish filling these in, do that and come back when you're ready. Because the next step down here is after you have noted your scores, go back to slide 2 and we're going to circle our scores on the chart. Now, it's going to be easiest for you if you pick a color. So we're going to use our pen. This is my pen tool right here, and we're going to circle these scores on these charts, and then we're going to use that after interim 2 that we take in February here in this next week to make our goal. And it's just going to be easier for you to set your goal if you highlight them in like a color. So for example, I'm going to use blue for my summative English, my summative math, and my summative science. I'm going to use this teal color, and then I'm going to use pink for my interim English and my interim math and my interim science. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to start with my teal color. I'm going to just start with my summative score. My 7th grade summative was 1073. So I'm going to go back to this page. I'm going to scroll down to 7th grade because this was last year. The red boxes for this year, I've marked this year for you. But you're putting the summative from last year on the 7th grade row. Part of this is you practicing reading these charts because this is a really great graphic organizer of data. This is a chart. So understanding this chart is going to directly help you in your science classes. But I don't remember what that score was. 1073 for English. So I'm going to find English, and I'm going to find where 1073 falls in that range. Oh, here's 1072, and it's bigger than 1072. Here's 1073. Now I'm going to do the same thing for summative math. Summative math was an 1101. So going back to math, 7th grade from last year was 1101. 7th grade summative for science, 1092. Science, 7th grade, 1092. That's it for the summative. Now let me grab that interim from spring. Or not from spring, I'm sorry, from fall. Grabbing my pink color because I'm going to do language arts for my English interim 1069. So I'm going to find English 8th grade 1069. I'm going to find math interim for 1074. Math, this is the interim, so this was 8th grade, 1074. And the last one, 8th grade interim for science, 1086. So I'm going to scroll down to science. I'm going to find 1086 in 8th grade. And there it is. You don't have to use the different colors. I just find that my eyeballs have an easier time reading a chart when I color code them. But you don't have to do that, so don't feel like you have to change colors. If you're struggling with the pen or don't want to do that, that's fine. But I like colors. I think it makes it easier for my brain to keep things organized. But once you've done that, you've done this step 5, and you have your scores, now you're not just looking at numbers, you're looking at an organizational piece. That's what a graph is. That's what a chart is. It's organizing data to make it a little easier for you to visualize. So look at these with me for a second, because we're going to reflect on scores, but look at these with me for a second, because your goal is to identify what do you need to focus on. So if we were going to counsel this friend and say, hey, this is what you need to focus on, what do you notice? Well, I noticed that this friend, I think this purple will show up. I noticed that this friend in mathematics scored a level 4 in 7th grade and in 8th grade. I also noticed that this friend scored a level 4 in 7th grade and 8th grade on science. So we're staying in that level 3, level 4 where we want to be. We're in level 4 and we're staying pretty consistent. I also noticed that if I look in ELA, that this friend scored level 4 in 7th grade, but then when they progress monitored in fall of this school year, they're still doing great. They're still a level 3. They're still on grade level and doing great, but their scores have gone down. They're showing less growth than we would expect to see. So if I were to counsel this friend and give them advice on a focus area, this is going to be where I would tell them to focus. So if we go to slide 4, that's what you're thinking about. How did your scores change? So in English, did your scores go up? Did they stay the same? Did they go down? What about the performance level? Did you stay at the same level, level 1, 2, 3, or 4? Did you increase a level? Did you decrease a level? And then you're going to answer the same questions about math and science. And then at the very bottom, there's some information and how to turn it in to let me know that you finished it. So it says your goal is to show growth. We're going to revisit these scores after your Atlas Interim 2 test, so when those ones were taken next week. And we're going to set goals for the Atlas Summative at the end of the school year. If you are level 1 or level 2 on Interim 2s next week, you're going to be enrolled in Tier 2 support. And these are most likely going to be assigned through K-12 tutoring. So just be aware, our goal is to see you growing up to that level 3 and level 4 area, and that's what the support is going to be for. If you're level 3 or 4 though, and you're like, hey, I know I am struggling in something and I'd like that extra support, or I know that this is where I'm at, but I want to push myself. Let me know. If you're a level 3 or a level 4 and you want to be in K-12 tutoring for a subject because you feel like you need that help, let me know. We'll get you in a group. But be aware that if you do optionally sign up for it, it's still going to become required. So just be aware of that. I'm more than happy to set you up in those K-12 sessions, but those will be required if you choose to do so. Scrolling down, when you're completely finished, all the way done, look at the top right-hand corner of your screen where you have this little hand, and you're just going to click on that and say, please check. So click this green button where it says please check. That's just telling me that you're done. You can even send a message. Like if you have something to say, you can put messages there, but be aware I might not see these. So if you need help and you have a question, make sure that you're emailing those to me. Think of this more as like you taking notes in the margins on your work than it is you sending messages to your teachers, because unless they're actively looking for them, they're not going to see those. So please do not put a message down here that you need an answer to. Send that to me in an email. Alrighty, friends. That's all. That's all we're doing. We'll come back to this later. There's a couple other slides that are kind of hidden from you. You are not working on these slides. We'll be looking at these after testing. Thanks, friends.